Hey everybody, Karen Lamb Pierce, and this is She Is Strong. I'm here with Mammy, and our special star of the show, Keela, is here. I'm so honored. My grandbaby is 5, so we met 5 years ago. I walked into her shop, and she'll tell you more about that in a second, and to buy her very first outfit and spent too much money because everything in her boutique is beautiful, and I was a crazy lolly and had to have everything, and so we had conversations later. But she is so brave and so courageous to be literally joining us. I know, he really did. We had to have conversations like, you cannot go back there for about a month. But everything's so pretty. She does such a good job, and again, she'll talk more about that later. But we just want to welcome you to this very special episode of She Is Strong. Not that all of them aren't, but this one is going to take a lot of courage. We're going to literally do what She Is Strong was meant to do, which is bring light into the dark spaces. And I'm not sure it gets much darker than domestic violence. It's one of the subjects that not many people want to talk about. You don't walk around sharing that story with everybody, sometimes for a lifetime. But we believed that even though next month, October, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but that's also much what month that I think they put them all in one month. There's there's cancer, there's domestic violence, there's also Alzheimer's. I don't know why they picked one month to put all the subjects. So we're going to take a whole month ahead of time and talk about what we believe is something that needs its light spread on it. And I know it's going to touch a lot of women. These are stories that nobody wants to tell, but we just want to make sure that you're heard. And even if you're not speaking, we have someone here who will be a voice for you. And before we get started, because it is such a sensitive subject, well, wait a minute. I'm Karen Lamb Pierce. I'm the founder of She Is Strong. I love this ministry. Shannon and Charity are behind the cameras as usual. And Mamie, tell them who you are. Oh yeah, you need a mic. We're going to pass the mic tonight.
We got more coming, right? Mics.
Yes, we have mics coming. Yes.
I'm Leslie Venable, also known as Mamie. And remember, She Is Strong is generational. So I am the Naomi generation. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to meet you. The thing I'm going to say about boutiques, owner operated, is that they have the most unusual, specialized items. So that's all I'll say about that.
But we are honored that you said yes, and we are so glad that she is here. Now, before we get started, because it is of a sensitive nature, I'm going to read some things just because we need to cover ourselves. Please be aware that any advice given is not to be considered legal counsel or therapy. We're not licensed in any way. We're a group of women of God who are sharing our stories. And we hope that because we're sharing the stories, it's going to inspire and encourage you to do the same. Tonight's episode is for informational purposes only. For legal or therapeutic issues, if this is something you're struggling with, we want you to reach out to the professionals in their respective fields. We'll give out information at the end of the show so that you know where to go, who to call, and all of those things, because we don't want you to leave here without having some sort of answers to issues and problems. Now, obviously, this show is based on Jesus. He is our foundation. He is our full armor. And if you don't know him, by the end of the show, we're going to help you know him as well. That is our first purpose. But now I'm going to turn this over to Miss Keela, and she will share with you her story. And please join us if you have a friend who you know might be struggling with, or who has and is still dealing with repercussions of that. Go ahead and forward this to them, the link to them, so that you can talk, so that they can watch this, and maybe this will help them as well. And put in comments. We'd love for you to comment and tell your story and reach out. But right now I'm going to hand this over to Keela, and she's going to share from her heart. So have your heart and your minds open, and prayers are welcome as well.
Yes.
All right, Miss Keela.
I'm so honored and thankful just to be here, just the opportunity to share my story. I'm Keela Lowry, and I found myself in a whirlwind of domestic violence, and I've got some things written down, so I'm going to start from there. I wondered where God was in all of this. Where is he now? Shattered hope and broken dreams. His truth says he was there in the midst of it all. And though we may not always see it or feel it or even understand, we can know beyond a doubt that He is now still, He is with us. I know it's hard. I know that sometimes you feel like you can't possibly make it another day, but you can. I know that at times you feel so broken, so used and forgotten. You feel like you can't possibly survive. At times you will see a story that reminds you of the relationship. Sorry.
You're fine.
At times you will see a story that reminds you that your relationship is not okay. It is not healthy at best and dangerous at its worst. Why should you have to give up so much in order to escape? Why are you being punished by someone who claims to love you? He will have broken you. I'm sorry, y'all.
There's no reason to apologize.
I just
ma'am.
get so.
This is your story to tell, and we want you to take your time.
And I am sharing from personal experience. This is everything. Well, just some of the things that I've went through. I lost my place.
It's okay. Well, your place is here.
My place
You're
is
exactly
here.
where you're supposed to be now.
If somebody's listening to you right now.
Well, everybody is. Somebody out there needs to hear what you have to say.
He will have broken you down so much that you think you can't survive without him. You can. He will have made you believe that you're worthless, unlovable, and that no one else will ever want you. He will have stripped from you your independence so that you no longer feel that you have the ability to make decisions and care for yourself and your family without him. He will have not only broken your spirit, but your body as well. He has hurt you in unimaginable ways with both his fists and his words. Often you will have no idea what you did to deserve his anger, his punishments. The truth is, you didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve it, even though he will tell you that you did. You will probably have gotten used to walking on eggshells. You'll be afraid that the slightest thing could set him off. It's so strange how such small things can cause him to go into fits of rage. It's even stranger that one day it will cause extreme anger and the next something very similar will cause a very calm or normal reaction. You will have gotten used to living in a constant state of fear because no matter how hard you try, you end up causing an angry reaction from him. Chances are your life is not really yours. Every move you make is controlled by him. Who you can be friends with, where you can go, what types of activities you can participate in, what you wear, how you spend your money. Every aspect of your life is controlled by him. By now, you probably don't know what freedom feels like. You have forgotten. What you enjoy in life. When you do find something, he will destroy that for you as well. Maybe you live in fear of his threats. He has threatened to hurt you, your children, your loved ones, your pets. At times when he is angry, you are with him. He destroyed something that you valued. I'm going to stop right there for a second. My mom passed away, and this is just something, he knew exactly, like I had voicemails, and that was all that I had left, like of my mom. And intentionally, like, he broke my phone so that I would not have that. He has burnt my clothes. There's so many things. Maybe you live in fear of his stress. I already said all that. You have learned that nothing is safe, and at its best just keeps him happy. Eventually, you may even stop making friends or spending time with family because you worry about their safety. By now, you think that leaving is impossible. You can't face all of that. Leaving in initials with no self-esteem or confidence. Sometimes you will leave and go back. People will judge you, but please don't judge yourself. You will face hardships, and at times you will want to go back to what's familiar. Sometimes you just can't safely leave and stay gone. Of course, it is ideal to leave and never go back, but if you go back, please remember that this is quite common. You also need to remember that your life is more important than anything else. I understand how hard it is to believe when you look in the mirror and feel worthless, but your life matters. Sometimes your abuser will stalk you and threaten you. Please take this seriously. Stalking is a warning sign of extreme danger. Do what you need to do to keep yourself safe, and reach out for help. Stalkers are men who think you belong to them and that they have the right to control you. These men are very difficult to break free from, and you won't be able to do it alone. But God. You probably love your abuser, or at least care for them. You have had happy memories between the abuse. You will grieve the loss of your partner, and that's okay. Your partner will likely have many good qualities as well as bad. Don't think that you shouldn't grieve the loss of them because they abused you. Also, give yourself time to adjust to being on your own. It's a huge change. Let Jesus take the brokenness, and it will not happen overnight. He never intends for us to stay stuck in our sin, pain, or deep sorrow. He heals and restores. He calls us onward. He reminds us that in Him we have great purpose and hope. For He will never leave us nor forsake us. His love for us His love for us is greater than we could ever imagine. Though we live in a world where we face trouble many days, Jesus reminds us in John 16:33, in this world you will have trouble, but take courage, for I have overcome the world. And that's the key to the ashes that cover our days in this life. The deeper truth that shines through every bit of our grief and pain and sin is Christ. He came to set us free. Christ came to redeem us. Christ came to bring hope. Christ came to bring beauty from ashes. There's beauty and greatness behind every mark of darkness. There's ashes. The ashes will fall away. They don't stay forever. But the greatness and glory shine forever through every broken place, every flaw we've struggled through. He conquered death. He lives forever. He reigns in glory, and we have victory in Him. To provide those who grieve, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes. Isaiah 61:3. When I found myself in this situation, I wasn't I didn't know that domestic violence was even a thing. And I know that sounds so crazy, but when
It's not talked about.
it's not, it's literally the it's the least talked about crime in the U.S. and it's really really
I
sad.
feel like it is. It's like a silent killer
It is
because you don't share it and the shame that comes with it. And like you said in your story, you feel judged. And that's just all of the things that you were saying is the enemy and the lies that he tells to broken women. And there's a movie out now called It Ends With Us. I don't know if anybody's read it. I read it and it resonated so strongly with me because we have to end what the we have to end it or the cycle continues. So many women previously were abused and then they continue it and it goes on for generations. Or again, and there's this judgment involved, but you didn't fall in love with the guy that beat you.
no,
You know what I mean? Women don't fall in love with the guy that beats them. They
no.
fall in love with the guy that is the honeymoon phase and they're so kind and nice. And a lot of them are very charismatic and have these great personality. You would never know, but except for the door, after the doors closed, who they are behind the closed doors. Because everybody loves them and they have these personalities. They're charming. And again, you didn't meet the guy that was going to hurt you. You met the guy that you thought loved you. And then the enemy took that and turned it into ashes, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that I had personally offended God. I had lost every bit of my faith. And I literally remember sitting in a closet after a certain situation. I don't know what is okay to say. So,
Well, we had a trigger warning at the front of this. If this is a subject that you don't want to, it doesn't sit well with you, with your soul, and you need to keep scrolling, please do it this time. But the reason we're having this is because it is a subject that's not talked about enough. If we don't talk about it, who will? If not her, then who? And this is the safe place. This is the platform where there's somebody out there, maybe in a hotel room, maybe on the street, maybe right now in a closet, that you might be able to say something to help them get the strength to get out of that situation. So I feel like at this point, again, there were warning signs and triggers, but I feel like you say whatever God leads you to say. So the platform is yours to speak.
I had literally begged God to take me. I was just at that point to where, because I couldn't tell him no. No was not in his vocabulary. And you're right with the whole generational thing. Now that I look back, it wasn't everything. The DA called me a textbook case, and it wasn't until years later that through the Lord healing me that I realized what they meant by that. Being afraid, and so many people have lost their life due to domestic violence. And why God saved me, I don't know. So thankful that He did. So if my story can touch anybody's life and let you know that God has a plan and a purpose for you. You may not can see it now, but I can assure you that He has a purpose. You just hold on. You find somebody.
Can you share with us? How did you make it out? Because that is the other thing. It's not something you don't just walk away from something like that or a man like that. Not in today's world. You won't. They will hunt you down. They will find you. We know. We've all seen Lifetime or I'm sorry, but you just know these stories now at this point if you're our age. And media. It has finally gotten to where people are telling their neighbor, reaching out to a friend. So at this time, you were talking about how you felt like you were isolated from your family. Obviously, that's part of this. That's part of the deal. They cut you off from everybody else so that you do feel like you can't reach out. So you feel crippled. You feel isolated. You feel imprisoned, which is the whole point.
Yes.
But how? Obviously, God is in this story. So how did you find the strength and the courage and the ability to step to reach out. And who did you reach out to?
Actually, I mean, it was God.
Well,
And,
You're gonna reach out to anybody. That makes sense.
and it was the last time that he ever put his hands on me. He had moved me from Shelby County to, South Alabama. So away from everything, everybody I knew. And yes, I was secluded. I was literally not allowed to leave my house without him. I rarely had a phone. But the first time the grand jury was going to indict him, and because I beat statistics, I went back more than 7 times. I went back more than 8 times.
Wow.
And even the grand jury, me still not knowing that domestic violence was truly a thing, every question that they asked me, I sat there and tears were flowing down my face, and I'm just going, and they couldn't be my witness, but I mean, I wasn't going to be their witness, because I was the only witness that they had. And then when I moved here, I sold my home in South Alabama, and sold my home, moved back here, and he come here, and I never thought that things would play out the way that they did here. But the last time that he jumped on me, I seen my son's life flash before my eyes, because my son, he was 17 at the time. He just went and he got his gun, and like before I could call 911, somebody in my neighborhood had already called 911 and said that there was a high-speed chase. And this had happened. Those 3 days, were the worst 3 days that I can remember. It was, like I said, it wasn't anything new, but I feel like God stepped in because the state took over. I remember, I think I honestly was in the McDonald's parking lot in Alabaster when the county, they called me and they were like, the state's going to take this over, because I can't tell you that I would have been strong enough to press charges, to press charges to do. I mean, here I am. I found myself in another,
Back in the corner.
yes. And God, I feel like God said that's enough. She's been beat on enough. She's not just physical, because your physical bruises heal a lot faster than the emotional and mental.
Words are powerful.
And so, like, from that point, I did get in another toxic relationship, but because he didn't hit me, it wasn't as bad, So until you let God heal you and heal that brokenness inside of you, then you're gonna repeat those same patterns. Yes. Just because they don't do this or they don't do that.
Well, as you said, it's not that bad. There shouldn't be a quotations. It shouldn't be that anything.
Exactly.
Love there's one Bible verse that explains what that is, and that's the simple way of looking at love. And if the person you're with, you can't put their, and this is how, when I met my husband, I put his name in that verse. If his name doesn't line up with that, then that's not what love is meant to be. Cain is patient. I'm sorry, that's my husband's name. Cain is patient. Cain is kind. He is not quick to anger. All of those things.
Yes.
It does matter. That verse isn't used at weddings for no reason.
Exactly.
And we get in our minds where we can save them or we'll help them up. But as any youth, if you've ever been to a youth group, my youth group did this. You sit in a chair, and sometimes it's just about your friends, right? You sit in a chair and you try to pull your friend up, but what happens? They pull you down. Yes. And that's exactly how these relationships, we think we can help them or save them, this will be better. And that's just delusional and the enemy getting you away from where God wants you and where, you need to be. But
Yeah. So I felt
but
that
you
I
knew you
could
had
love
finally had
him.
enough.
Yes. I mean, I thought that I could love him enough to not want to hurt me. I mean, I thought that
Tell them that.
I thought that I could love him enough for him not to want to hurt me.
That you could love him enough.
That I could love him enough.
That's good stuff.
Wow.
But I can't even. I mean, without Jesus, I mean, I can't love anybody until I love myself, and I definitely didn't love myself at that time.
Sure. Well, they destroy that person, the person that did love yourself at one time. That's what they try to do, so that you believe their lies.
Oh yeah, and it's very easy to believe the bad over the good. I mean, it
Well, especially if
truly.
they're telling you it in your ear every day.
Yeah.
You're not good enough. You're not this enough. You're not worthy, and you deserve. If you wouldn't have just made me, if you would have made the dinner right, if you would have, had this done by this time, if that would have been the right. I mean, it's as little as a TV show.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the triggers are because they don't have God's love in them.
Yes.
So how, and especially if they came from a historical background.
Well, you said, which I'm all about this loving yourself. Excuse me, I'm all about loving yourself. Even some of them that have viewed our other CS episodes.
We have a whole episode about loving yourself.
Yeah.
Go back and look at it.
Yeah. Need to. Because and just like if they're not taught the male, I'll just use this because this is about females. Not that males, I believe you said it, Karen.
Well, I didn't say it to begin with, but I will say that we understand that this is not one-sided. Ours is a women's ministry, so obviously we're speaking to women, but we absolutely 100% know that men have this issue as much as women do, and we are not saying it is any less important. This is just our platform, and we're a women's ministry, and so that's why we're bringing attention to this side of that table.
As I was preparing, because we got a short chapel meeting in the morning, and I was preparing.
We're going to speak tomorrow at Cahaba Christian Academy.
Yeah. For their chapel morning meeting, and I was because I want to talk to them about self-love. And I'm not talking about conceited, arrogant, inflated with pride. I'm talking about you loving yourself. And I realized something of course, I'm 70, y'all remember I'm the Naomi, but
She's so proud of her.
as well, I like that name. That's okay.
Yes.
And the thing is, though, I've come to realize that it's many men, that they never have their father tell them, or they never have their daddy tell them, son, I love you.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. Just like you had just touched on that. So you don't know where they come from either. And that's not a defense mechanism. I'm just saying a lot of people don't know how to love themselves.
Exactly.
And my thing is how can you love somebody else if you don't love yourself? And it's taken me a little while to be able to do my mirror work. Y'all know about the mirror work.
They may not, so tell them again.
Well, if you don't, I should have had my mirror here with me, but I didn't think we'd go in this direction. But if you, okay, we are following the Spirit of the Lord, that's for sure. We're out here, baby. You get your mirror and you look at yourself eyeball to eyeball. And the first time, one of my mentors, she said, Leslie, evidently you don't love yourself. And I thought, okay. So I didn't say anything because I didn't want to make an idiot out of myself or a fool. And I thought, I'm not going to tell anybody that. I'm not going to tell anybody she said that. But then when I got home, I thought, well, do I love myself? Because see, I know it says love your neighbor, but need to look up, do a study on the word as. It will enlighten you. Because I won't tell it all, but because I want Leela to finish her. Keela, I don't know why I had Leela. Sorry, apologize. Anyhow, yeah, it is. But anyhow, you look at that and you say, when you first start, you look in the mirror, look at yourself eyeball to eyeball and say, Leslie, I love you. And the first time I did it, I busted out crying, to be honest with you. I never had thought about loving myself because I had never had a problem. I haven't had a problem with loving my neighbor because if they was in need, I wanted to make sure that their need was taken care of. Well, see, the thing is, but how can you give something that you don't have?
Yes.
If Charity was to say, Mammy, I need $1,000 right now. Well, I don't have $1,000 on me right now. And how can I give it to her though if I don't have it? So if you don't love yourself, I suggest this is a good starting place. Do it by yourself because you don't know. You're going to be surprised what's inside you. And I counted today, I got 7 mirrors. My son was laughing the other day and he said, Mom, you need another mirror. But it's okay. It's okay for you to love yourself because you are God's greatest masterpiece. You have a marvelous mind. No matter what society, no matter what your no matter what you've been called, you call yourself, Leslie, you all right. I'm okay with you now. I love you. So but when you said that about loving, that's when I thought, oh my goodness, it all goes back to that love.
It does. It does. It truly does.
And you don't have to let just anything come.
No.
So you got out. That the incident happened. The state stepped in.
And then of course, like I said, I got in another relationship, and it lasted for 7 months. And that relationship, during the midst of that relationship, we had started going to church, and I'd had an encounter with God. And it's so amazing how you can prophesy over your own life and don't even realize it. And
Explain that.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know,
Yes, I'd had an encounter with the Lord, and this encounter was, he had marked me. But I let this other guy, I put him before God. So I'd stopped going to church and all of that, and I went through a road of destruction. Just everything, just for so many months. But then I literally told somebody, I said, I feel like God's saying, or God is going to let me go as far as I can go on my own, and he's going to reel me right back in. And that's exactly what happened on December 22nd, 2019, the same as that year that I had the encounter with God. He reeled me back in, and he changed my life. And I walked in that church broken. And the person that come out was a completely different person. I can't tell you what they preached.
1 second, we have a train. This is Kalira. It happens during show sometimes. So we're just going to let this whistle go a few times. If you know, you know. If you watch this episode, sometimes it never even shows up.
Yeah.
And then every now and then, right before the power comes, it's like, 1 second. So we're going to give it time to get finished.
That's
and
how
then
it is.
We want you to pick
Alabaster.
up because this is it's just all. See how close it is. Welcome to Calera, Alabama. Maybe we needed some laughter in the middle of that for a second. A little lightheartedness. It's almost done, guys.
Yeah.
It lasts and then it's gone.
The kids like to hear it too.
They do. They do.
Playground, play area.
All right, I think we're good.
Okay,
So where were we?
That's what I'm thinking.
The God encounter.
The God encounter. You walked out of that church a different woman.
Yes, I didn't have to have people laying. Yes, I was prayed over, but God met me in that floor of that church, and I had an encounter, and I walked out a completely different person.
Wow.
Like the very next day, like that same day, like I'm, going in stores telling people I just got saved. Like, that's the encounter. That's the encounter that I had. That's what I want for everybody. Like, because when you truly have an encounter with God, like it marks you, it changes your entire life. I will say, like I thought that I had arrived right after God changed my life, but at the same time, like He meets us where we are.
Yes, ma'am.
And he has sat with me in so many seasons of like looking at myself and and I still struggle
Sure.
with
2019 was not
looking
that far away.
looking at
It's
myself
amazing.
in the mirror, and like sometimes, and I've even said this to the Lord, like, God, I don't even think that I look at myself when I'm getting ready, and that's a hard thing to come, but at the same time, that's the Holy Spirit speaking, saying, you need to pay attention. And
Time.
yes, God completely did. I had my ex-husband had burnt my clothes, and I had a knowing when I was still in South Alabama that I was supposed to own a business, and it's so amazing how God does this, because I was not a Christian at this time.
Yeah.
I had a knowing. I tried to open up a business, and I knew that I wanted to carry children's and babies and women's and men's, and so I had two stores side by side. Took a complete loss, but it wasn't God's time yet. So when I moved back here to Shelby County, I started out small, just babies and kids. And honestly, like this month makes 5 years. And so I opened up September 5 years ago, and to be honest, until God changed my life, I don't think I ever made maybe one or two sales. But as soon as He changed my life, I literally went from a room inside of a store to a location, a bigger location.
And it's beautiful. If you haven't been, you have to go.
And then I had a flood in 2021, and was it 2021, that flooded 4 foot of water. So then I moved to the location I'm at now. So with God,
He just the name of your store so they can go and shop there.
Redeeming Grace Boutique.
It used to be Shabby Chick.
Yes, it did.
That's where I got addicted. No, not addicted, but I do love to shop, especially for my grands. And now I have a grandson, and she has clothes for both. And it is, for all you grandparents out there, it's dangerous, but man, is it beautiful. And I do have to give a special shout out. And we didn't talk about this at the beginning of the show, and I want to do a praise report. I know this is we have gone to some deep places, and we will get back to it, but she dedicated, whenever I was doing a basket for Izzy, you remember Izzy, who is in Atlanta now with her son Ivan, who, by the way, went to the zoo the other day. Ivan went to the zoo. He got out of the house and went to the zoo. If you don't know about Ivan, go look up our page. You'll find out about him as well. She was going to be a guest of ours. But anyway, hey, Izzy. Hey, Ivan. We love you. But anyway, Ivan is in Atlanta, but we also have another girl that Sis helped, and that is my best friend from high school. Hey, Kim. We helped her daughter. We actually wanted to do something for her daughter. Her baby Stella has been in the hospital since she was born, got moved to children. So I got to visit Stella while I was visiting Ivan, which is just a God thing. And today, little Miss Stella got to go home for the first time. So praise the Lord for what He's doing and the miracle worker that He is in that. And that situation led me back into her store, because she has this amazing stuff called, what is it called that everyone loves?
The goat milk.
It's called goat milk lotion?
It's 2 gallons and a goat.
Yes, okay. That's what it's called. Go in her shop, buy it now, buy it tomorrow. Both of them were like, please tell me where I can get more of this stuff. And so that's how she and I went in there to get, like just a shop for them, actually, because I knew about the shop and wanted to get some stuff. And while I was telling her that story, she literally was like, well, if you ever do an episode on domestic violence, and I said, well, I will now. And here we are, because I do believe there's no accidents. We were talking about it earlier. There are no happenstance.
No.
It was meant to be. She was meant to be on here. This show is about her story and shedding light into that darkness that was part of her life. But now you're a store owner
I
and
am.
you're about to expand.
I am about to
And
expand.
tell them about, so again, and here's the other crazy thing. You keep talking about ashes to beauty.
Yeah.
My sister, Alicia Holcomb, actually is doing a Bible study at her house on Thursday nights. It is called Ashes to Beauty. Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
It's just so cool how he just kind of ties it all up like a pretty bow.
Yes.
But anyway, tell them more about where you are now. And
So yes, God has expanded and multiplied the store. He has sent numerous people, and not just inside the store, but people that I don't know to tell me that He was expanding and multiplying the store. And He has had people sowing into Redeeming Grace. And the funny thing about Redeeming Grace was He'd given me that name not long after He changed my life, and I didn't realize that was Redeeming Grace's ministry. The store, we have Redeeming Grace Ministries. There's going to be Redeeming Grace houses, because my prayer is that God gives us, and it's been prophesied, so His word doesn't come back void. It's been
Amen,
prophesied
sister.
that that I would have land and a building, and I literally was praying one morning, and I was thinking, just maybe Huntsville, just away from each other, from north and south. And I felt the Lord say, and I was not familiar with the verse at all, to get a map and to circle from the north, south, east, and west. I'm praying, and I know that that's going to happen, for abused women, children, men, because I know that it happens to all. And life with God is amazing. Like if somebody would have, I mean, obviously God calls us, and I'm so thankful that He called me. I'm so thankful that I'm still here to be able to share my story. I'm so thankful. I have 3 beautiful granddaughters. I have 2 amazing children, and so many amazing friends, and all of my customers are friends. We do a Bible study at the store. And that's
awesome.
that was all God, because I was trying to be like Moses a little bit. You got the wrong one. And then when
we
I
all kind
started,
of say that from time to time. Are you sure you got the right person for this? I've said it a million times since this. I mean, like, are you sure this is what I'm supposed to do? But isn't it crazy? I love how this is the part I love. I love everything about God, but He uses the people that are broken. He uses, when you think about the people in the Bible, the Moseses, the Josephs, the Davids, they were not the Goliaths. They were not the big. They were they were the people who were broken. Moses had a stutter, and Joseph got thrown into a pit, and David was just the littlest one of his family. And yet, our weaknesses that we think make us not worthy are what God sees, and He wants us to use the love like you have a passion now. And the other thing that I realize is the tough stories, the shame and the things that He meant for guilt and to be ashamed of. And He told me this when I started Sis. Part of the thing that you need to start doing is telling your story, because we're good at listening.
yes,
Tell me all about you. Let me help you.
yes,
We're not good at telling our own. So if you feel like there's the story you have to tell, do not be ashamed of that.
no,
That's a purpose. Like Sis
yes,
is a purpose. Her store, Redeeming Grace, is a purpose. You have a purpose.
yes.
So don't get lost in what the enemy, the lies that he tries to tell you. You walk forward and step into the confidence, and we are the head and not the tail. He is the Alpha and the Omega. You don't have to fall into the lies that the enemy tries to tell you, that you did too much. There was a woman at the well, woman at the well that He used. He will use whatever your story is. Don't you be ashamed. Don't
That's
you
right.
step down and be smaller than, because you are not. And He meant good and big things for you and your future. And so is there anything else? Now, where's your new store going to be? Do you have that location yet?
I will announce it as soon as God
She's
gives
gonna
me.
tell her where to go. Okay.
Yes, I'm
Dana,
waiting
where
for
can they find
him.
you?
I am in Alabaster, in between Milo's and Enterprise, across from Duncan, 1123 First Street North, Alabaster, and on Facebook it's just Redeeming Grace, and on Instagram it's Redeeming _Grace _boutique.
You
You
gotta
know,
put
it's
all
got
those weird
all of
things in
those.
there.
Yes.
So you can
And
get your Starbucks. What now? Oh, it's in the
thank
okay,
you.
wonderful. They already put it in there for you, so
Yes.
you can go find it. So you can go get your Starbucks drink, you can go get a Milo's burger, and then you can go buy and shop
Yes.
at her store. But I do appreciate and I'm so honored for your courage. I know that was not an easy story for you to tell, but you have no idea how much it means to me that you were brave enough and courageous enough to say yes, that you were bold enough to just tell me you wanted to. That right there, I mean, we
That's
may
God.
have never been here. Yes, He gives us. Well, He is our armor, and that verse has been with me about putting on the full armor. We ladies, that we have to. I mean, I literally now, before I get out of my bed, I pray that whole verse. I need the helmet of salvation. You have to fight. It is a war out there. You have to have the sword of the Spirit. You have to speak. You have to wear the belt of truth, have on the breastplate of righteousness, and walk in peace, or you're not going to get where God is intended for you to go. So do those things. And for any of you women out there who right now are in the middle of this story, or if you are out of it and you're not sure what to do or where to go and you're not sure what to do next, Keela is just a shining example of how God can take and make ashes and turn into beauty. She is not just, and by the way, she is stunning in person as well, but she is ashes to beauty on a God level, and that makes her the most beautiful. And we are so honored that you, and humbled that you took time out of your busy schedule with owning a shop and being all those things that you are to come on our show. Now, I do want to tell you people, the ones who are going through this or may go through this, I have a sheet of paper and I'm going to read off some things and I'm going to go show it to the camera because I want to help. Oh, okay. They also, of course they do. So our brilliant people in the comments put this first of all is a flyer that says love does not hurt.
Amen.
In the violence now. And the number to call is 1-800-799-SAFE. And that's 1-800-799-7233. And there's also a hotline. It's called, and this is what it is, tothehotline.org. And that's TOTHEHOTLINE.org. What you can do is go there, and if you try to go there and get help, and it's a dangerous situation and you find yourself, you want to jump out of it quick, you can click the red X in the upper right corner or escape button on your keyboard twice at any time to leave the hotline.org immediately, because we understand that safety first. You have to take care of your safe selves first. There's also a chat online by going to the hotline.org and clicking the purple chat now box, or you can text START to 88788. There's also an Alabama Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Their hotline is 1-800-650-6522. Their email is info@acadv.org. And their website is www.acadv.org. So again, those are all in the comments. We do not want anyone to be left behind or to stay in the dark. This episode was truly meant to bring light into a place that is so full of darkness that you think there's not hope. But if there's anything that is true today, it's that there is, and that hope is always God. You are not by yourself. Even if you're isolated, you are not by yourself. Reach out to someone, anyone, or do what she did.
Yes.
And she, again, is a prime example. So again, thank everybody for joining us tonight. We love you so much. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you, Keela, for sharing your heart.
I'm so honored. I'm truly honored.
And go to her shop and support her. But between now and our next show, remember Proverbs 31:25. She is clothed in strength and dignity.
Yes.
She can laugh at the days to come. Keela is a prime example of that verse, as are the rest of us, and so are you. Don't forget that. We love you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.